Hello and welcome, and see my nice flowery garden and my cool funky purple pants, purple trousers. So yes, this was some fabric that I dyed myself with logwood, and here are some trousers that I'm going to use to make another pair of trousers from. And these are kind of loose fitting, they have an elasticated waistband, so I know that I can make kind of the same type of trousers. And this piece of fabric isn't very big, so I'm going quite close to the edges here. Probably a centimeter seam allowance, maybe some places a little bit less. Then I'm going to stretch it out here, try to see if I can to find out where the middle is or where the center seam is. And I'm just adding an extra piece here for the back because the back part of the trousers are bigger. And this is all something that you can read about how to do in my style hacking book that will demonstrate these techniques for you. So that was the back part of the trousers, and now I'm trying to do the front part. I'm just folding the leg in a little bit, as you can see, because we're at the back. I needed to take some extra fabric to make sure that the back part was big enough. Then here I actually need to fold it in because the front part of the trouser leg is smaller than the back part. And as you can see, I don't have much seam allowance here, so it's really going close. But I'm just trying to make sure that I do it okay. And I'm adding like 5 centimeters at the top. For some extra fabric that I can fold down and then create a tube lining for some elastics. And now I'm cutting, and it's maybe not that easy to see that orange marker, but here you can actually see where I'm cutting for sure. The back piece is noticeably bigger than the front piece. As you can see, the butt is larger than the front. Yes, and now I'm getting ready to sew. But first of all, I just want to show you, these are my two books. One is in English and one is in Danish, but they're both no pattern sewing books, and they both have versions of how to make trousers that are just easy to make, where you just measure from your own trousers. And I would really recommend, if you want to get into sewing but you're afraid of paper patterns, because this still is a way for you, as I also try to show in these videos. And with this sewing, I'm going to do most of it on my serger. So I'm just gonna stitch it all together in one go on the serger. And if you don't have a serger, of course you can just do this on a normal sewing machine with a stitch seam and a zigzag seam. The zigzag seam is good to make sure that the edges don't fray, but the serger kind of does both at once. So that was the two center seams done, the front center seams and then back center seams, and then just doing down the legs and the inner leg seam. And I'm making sure that the seams are aligned at the center. And now I'm doing the one for the other leg, so making sure that it goes all the way down. And this is so easy and so nice on a serger like this. So then it's the side seams, and I'm making sure that the edges are aligned at the top. Start there and then just go all the way down to the leg opening. One side first. And yes, this fabric this was dyed with logwood, so it's just like an old kind of linen from some like a sheet or something, and then dyed with logwood. And it turns out to be this beautiful purple. And this is the last outer leg seam. And then the trousers are stitched together. So basically now it's just about finishing the edges. And I'm just going to do a quick serger seam on all of the edges. So like the leg openings, getting a quick serger seam all the way around. And again, you can just do a zigzag stitch if you have a normal sewing machine, just to make sure the edges don't fray, so you don't get any loose threads. And the big waist opening as well gets around with the serger and all the way done. And then it's time to finish. So this is my normal sewing machine, and this is for the tube lining for the elastic. And as you can see on my fingers, I've been dyeing some other stuff here. So I'm just folding the edge of the fabric in towards the back, folding it in that kind of 5 centimeters or 4 centimeters that I cut it extra for seam allowance at the top. I'm just making sure that there is like a casing for my elastic to go in. And yeah, it's a little bit wrinkly here. It's not quite straight, but since the elastic will be kind of gathering, will be wrinkling it anyways, I don't worry that much about that. So I stitch all the way around almost, because I just have to make sure that I leave a little opening where I can get the elastic through. So don't stitch it all the way through, but leave a little opening. And this is not the cleverest thing that I've done here, because yeah, you'll see that in a moment. I'm gonna put the elastic in, but I kind of filmed that away from the camera, or I've done that away from the camera, so that's great. But as you can see here, I've got this opening and I've got my elastic that fits around my waist, and I've got a safety pin on my elastic so I can put it through this tubing that I am not showing to you. So that is well done, Caroline. Well done, but you can see it in a moment, and maybe you can also you can maybe make out what I'm doing. So just the elastic goes all the way through until I've got both ends out, and then they need to be stitched together. Of course, you have to be sure that that the elastic isn't folding inside this tubing, inside the casing. And then basically just stretch the elastic, make sure that it's lying nice and flat in there, and then it's time to just close that little opening that you made. Make sure that that gets closed off. For some reason I'm not showing that, I don't know why, but please stitch it and close that off. And then I'm just folding in the bottom leg opening 1 centimeter towards the back, and that's just been stitched on with the normal stitch seam, so completely normal. And I'm doing the same for the other leg opening, 1 centimeter towards the back, and then just a normal stitch seam, making sure it's closed. And yeah, then they are ready to wear, and they're super easy, super nice. And wow, my fingers don't look good in this video. Dyeing is a hard, dyeing fabric is not easy. So here they are, and yes, they're a little bit short, but that was because that was the fabric I had. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.